it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Time for the highly anticipated segment that people across the country want to see. Mike McFeely joins us here in studio. We missed you last week. We were down in Sioux Falls, so glad we can make this work.
I was told that I'm supposed to tell a story on your program today because from people who regularly watch Hot Mike.
Yes.
Was in a golf tournament Sunday at Village Green with my buddy Tom Welly. It's a two-man thing, best ball.
Yep.
So each play the hole, each take the best score. We're a couple of old guys. He's like Tom's, 58 or 59. I'm 58. We're playing against all the kids, right? It's because we think we're still good, and we're not. Wind's blowing 4,000 miles an hour.
It was
on Sunday.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So we're playing along.
Where are you at?
Village Green.
Okay, Village. Okay.
Where else would I be?
I don't know.
Well, Edgewood, I guess.
You could play Edgewood. You like that one?
So, you have tee markers on a tee box, and you're supposed to put your ball between them,
correct.
And that's legal. So I'm not paying attention, and I put my ball down on a hole, and I hit it, and I step back and go, wait a second. I didn't have it between the tee markers. The tee markers are over there. And for some reason, I put it over here.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. So Tom is still in the hole, so he plays out the hole and makes a bogey. We get done. We have to count that bogey. We get done. We're tied.
Oh.
We're tied for the victory.
Oh.
We're beating the young guys. We're going, young guys, get out of here. The veterans are coming for you, right? But we're tied. So in tournaments like this, you have what you call a scorecard playoff. You go to the number 1 handicap hole, which is the toughest hole.
Okay.
And then you match scores or check scores. Whoever has the better, and then you go
Would be,
1, 2, 3, 4 is the winner.
Yep.
Guess what the number 1 handicap hole is? It's the hole on which I put the ball down in the wrong spot.
Oh, no.
So we had to count the bogey. The Young Bucks
made
par. They win the tournament based on my boneheadedness.
Wow.
Yeah. What was I thinking?
No self-awareness.
No.
What are you doing?
No. I was not locked in.
Have you ever done that before?
No, and that's what I said. I have played a million rounds of golf in my life.
Yeah.
A million. Just ask my wife. I've never done that before, ever. I've played a million tournaments in my life. I've never done that. Why did I do it?
So you just... Just mind was free?
I was talking up. I tend to get a little mouthy during golf tournaments. And
you're playing well?
Oh, gosh, yes. Man. I'm cockier than heck, and my mouth is running a million miles an hour.
You were Dante DiVincenzo to tips the other night.
I'm looking at the guys we're playing against going, watch this. Yep, trade me, Jay Olafson. Trade me, Mark Eklund. And I put the ball down the wrong spot.
Did anybody else say anything?
Well, no. So, and I don't think it was nothing bad. Everybody's doing their own thing.
Yeah.
I'm strutting around like, I get up and wait a second.
Oh, no.
So that's the golf story I have to tell.
I'm sorry.
That's
brutal.
what it's going to,
brutal.
It's going to be January 17th. I'm going to be sitting in front of the fireplace, reading a book, maybe sipping on a brandy. I'm going to put the book down and go, God, we could have won that tournament.
When you got to go on snowblow for the 4th time.
No, go walk around the block with my hands in my pockets, kicking snowbanks.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's okay.
Couple of emails come in. This is right at you. This is pretty good. The Missouri Valley is 1 through 3, and then you can flush the toilet after that, after our power ranking segment. That's pretty accurate, I think, because 6 through 11.
I think 1 and 2 are pretty good.
Yeah. 3's all right.
I think 3's all right. Well,
okay.
Again, I'm a skeptic.
Okay.
I'm burned by the history of South Dakota.
The last time we saw the Coyotes up close, that was not good.
But I'm burned by the history of them. Like, they didn't go from 3-8 to 5-6 to 6-5 to 6. They went from horrible and the head coach is going to get fired to I guess they're one of the top 5 teams in the country.
Yeah.
So I want to see it over time.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not insulting anybody.
No, we talked about that on Bison Game Day on Saturday. Like, how did USD do this? Where I thought the last time they played Northern Iowa prior to Saturday, they gave up 55 at home to Northern Iowa.
And that was the last game of the season. And that's when the then athletic director, Dave Herbster, had to get up and go, "We're not firing Bob Nielsen.
Yeah.
We actually just gave him a contract extension."
Which all of us
and
thought
everybody's like, "Whoa, okay."
Then they won 10 games last year and made the quarterfinals.
Yeah. And now they're potentially the second best team if they're better than NDSU. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're better than the Jacks. That seems unlikely, but we'll see.
Our friends in Springfield, what do we
how
make
about
of Mo State, where they're not playoff eligible?
See, they've totally gone under the radar
because
of that, because nobody cares because they're not eligible for the playoffs. But I mean, their quarterback Jacob Clark is a transfer from the University of Minnesota.
You saw him play in person.
I did. I was looking at stuff up last week because I went, God, these guys are pretty good.
Yep.
When Jacob Clark, he got in one game for the Gophers. I think it was the 2019 game against Maryland, which our daughter was going to the University of Minnesota at that time, and it was Parents' Weekend at the U. So my wife and I went down there to see those goofy uniforms that Maryland wears that everybody's making fun of. Yeah,
traditional Big Ten match between Minnesota and Maryland.
And apparently this Jacob Clark got in the game late in the game because the Gophers boat raced him. So my scouting report was like, I guess he's okay, and he got hurt last year. So when the Bison went down to Springfield and steamrolled Missouri State, it was a young guy in at quarterback.
Oh, gosh, now I can't remember his name.
I can't either, but he kept throwing passes over the middle to Raylan Sharp, who, by the way, is really transferred.
Good. Correct.
He's gone, San Diego State.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you got to give the Bears some credit. They're winning games. I don't know who they've played. They steamrolled Illinois State, but we've learned that comparative scores don't mean anything.
Not in this league.
No.
They've beat Youngstown, was their other Valley win. Okay. Prior to that was UT Martin and Lindenwood.
Yeah, so whatever.
They should have beat Montana maybe in that first game of the season.
I was told.
And they lost to Ball State.
I have a source out in Montana, and we were chatting the other day about Montana and UND and the whole picture of FCS, because this person is on board with us that largely FCS stinks other than a handful of teams. But he said he was at the Montana-Missouri State game, and he saw the Montana-UND game on TV because he covers the Grizz, and he said, I'm telling you, I think Missouri State was the most talented team of those three that I saw.
Okay.
He goes, I thought they were more talented than Montana. And by the way, this guy thinks that this is like the worst Montana team in 5 years.
Well, that's kind of bore out so far. They've been...
But he said, I thought Missouri State was the more talented team of those three from what I saw.
Mo State, by the way, does not play South Dakota or North Dakota this year. They end the season, though, with the Bison and the Jacks.
Right.
So they may be heard from in this conference race, depending. Yep. We'll see.
Or they'll get boat raced twice, and they'll go, okay, see ya, have fun in Conference USA.
We're on our way there. Another email comes in. How much did Cam Miller's ankle affect him this past week?
I think a lot.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty limited. And, I mean, aside from the lack of called runs for him, I think there was a lack of just mobility and, willingness to jump out of the pocket and run around to extend a play to get somebody open. I think we saw a lack of that from Cam. And then I asked him after the game, the touchdown pass or the attempted touchdown pass where he had Braylon Henderson wide open in the end zone. I mean, he threw it 10 feet over his head.
This is the one play, Mike, where he's trying to move and he just can't. Right. You could see immediately when he got up, he was in a ton of pain there.
Yep. And so when he missed Braylon by 10 yards, I asked him about that. And he goes, when I went back and set to throw, I could feel it. And he goes, I just got to be tougher. It's like, well, I don't think it's a matter of toughness. It's a matter of if it hurts.
Right.
I mean,
can you move?
You can't do anything about it if you plant your foot and it hurts. It has nothing to do with toughness.
So how much is this going to affect in your mind, the game here? He said he was 75, 80. You see he had a large, ice pack on after his walking up the field. I mean, this is a major deal for the Bison here.
Yeah, it sure is. And it goes beyond this week. I mean, however this week turns out.
The Bison still have 2 more games after this before their bye week.
And we've talked about it 100 times already, but an ankle is one of those things that it doesn't get 100% unless you have several weeks off to let it get 100%. And I don't know that the Bison have that luxury right now.
So another email comes in. Why would Polisic not play Cole Payton?
Because you're trying to win the games.
Yep.
I mean, and we've said it before. If Gray Zabel has a sprained ankle, he's not going to go, I can't play.
Yeah,
Sorry, I have a sprain.
no,
I mean, you can't coddle your quarterback. It's still football.
Correct.
And an offensive lineman, it ain't easy for them to play in a sprained ankle or
Polisic said we're not good enough last week.
Yeah.
When he was asked that flat out, he said, "No, we're not." You asked him the question. We're not good enough not to do it.
Yeah,
so.
and that's some of that is mind games by the head coach. But no, I mean, you can't. If he can play, he should play.
Correct.
And it's, I mean, and it's not like it was Murray State or Augustana or Northern State. I mean, you have to try to win the game.
Correct. And now it's South Dakota State. And I know you're working on a column on this, so I don't want to spoil all of it, but I know I said it repeatedly in the last broadcast when we did it last year. The turnover margin is stark in this 5 games. The Jacks have 0 turnovers. The Bison have 9.
Yes.
9
yes.
against
and
South Dakota State.
Cam has 6 interceptions, I want to say, in the last 5 games.
And a couple of them at the end. You know, at the end of the national championship game is trying to make a play.
And last year, I mean, so a couple of them were just they are what they are.
The fumbles have been the ones like Tamarick Williams had a huge fumble early in the game last year. Bach came in.
Kobe Johnson had a huge fumble in the national championship game where the Bison were still in that game and they had found some creases in the running game and they were moving the ball. Then Kobe fumbles and the Jacks go in. It just turns into an absolute rout from there on out. But the Bison they can't turn it over.
No.
They're okay, to use Polisek's statement, they're not good enough. they're not good enough against the Jacks to turn it over 2 times and expect to win.
This play early, this is where Bach came in and knocked the ball out of Tamarick Williams. Again, the Bison had driven down the field and scored. The Jacks scored.
Yeah.
They're going right back, and then that changed the complete complexion of the game.
It sure did.
Miller here, tip pass.
Tip, but that's, they all count.
Right.
They just need to play clean. And it'd be nice if they forced it. The Jackrabbits have 0 turnovers against, and part of that is they're playing from ahead so that they're never forcing anything.
But when the Bison won 8 in a row, they were the ones that had 0. And this one, everyone will remember from 22 with the Cole Payton play.
That was a horrible series, just a horrible series of plays there with the penalty on Cam. And then Tyler Roll trying to get it all back with one play and just turn into a disaster.
And after that, the Jacks had outscored him 16-rip after that. This one in 21. This was Cam's second start. Fumbled the ball. Jacks got it, went right down and scored. I mean, it's been, you can set your watch to it on what's happened. And frankly, Mike, the Jacks have been the last 2 games, the national championship game and the game in Brookings, they were clearly the better team. Do we say that now in 2024?
Oh, I think they're the better team, but I think it's what we've talked about all along is that I don't think the gap is there.
So not clearly the better team, just the better team.
Oh, no, I think they're still clearly the better team, just not clearly by a mile.
Okay.
I mean, I was thinking about this in the drive over in my prep for your show here is, and we talked about this a year ago as well, but in the last 15 years since NDSU started this run, there was never a game that North Dakota State went into where you thought they had no chance to win, right? Even the national championship game after the 22 season, you went, well, let's see how it plays out.
Yep.
I mean, they're 9-0 down here. Maybe the Jacks gag it. I mean, well, let's see how it plays out. Turned out to be a rout. It wasn't close. But last year's regular season game, I mean, that was the first game where you just went, in 15 years, where you went, they just don't have a chance to win this game.
Yep.
I mean, they're just, if South Dakota State shows up with most of their starters, they're going to win this game.
Right.
And I don't feel that this year. I still feel the Jacks are the better team, and I think it's going to turn out that they're going to be favored. Somebody told me yesterday that there's already a line out that they're favored by 2.5.
Oh,
I have not seen it.
Me either.
I've not seen it. I'm not in that world, but they're going to be favored by 3.5.
Probably.
I think it's not going to be as much as Kolpak said yesterday. I think he said a touchdown. That seems to be too much. But they'll be favored by 2.5, 3.5 points, 4 points. But it feels like if North Dakota State plays a good game, that they're going to be right there.
Yes, I would think. We're overdue for a break, so let's take one now. We'll get a little bit more on the Jacks Bison and some realignment news that does not concern North Dakota State or South Dakota State. We'll hit on that. Well, it could, I guess.
Wait till I get done with this topic.
We'll wrap up Hour 1 of Hot Mike right after this. Wrapping up our first hour, a couple more emails coming in. We're chatting about the Jacks and the Bison. Dom and Mike, the thing that I feel is attributed to the 5-game losing streak, Stid did a great job turning the Jacks into a spinning image of the Bison after they lost 8 straight. They hit on recruits while NDSU missed on a few of theirs. Major injury bug didn't hit the Jacks over the years like it did NDSU. I'll object to that. They lost Adam Bach for most of half the season.
They've lost some players over time, but they have the depth to make up for it.
The last thing was they were able to retain all their main players, or as NDSU lost a lot of talent, they thought the grass was greener on the other side. Again, we've said this, though, Mike. The portal is coming for the Jackrabbits.
It's coming for everybody.
It will happen.
It's going to happen.
But
it has not. I mean, the key one this year, of course, was the quarterback, and both quarterbacks stuck around. I don't know what opportunities Cam Miller had, if any, but Gronowski obviously had a chance to go to Northwestern.
And some other schools we have to imagine as well.
Yes,
Northwestern seemed the most obvious.
Yep. And so he stuck. But it's at some point it's going to hit.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The other part I wanted to hit on before we got to go, Brett McMurphy reported late last night and confirmed by the University of Hawaii that they will become a full-fledged member of the Mountain West Conference, which will bring them to 8 football-playing schools, which they needed.
But that makes them legal in the eyes of the NCAA to be an FBS conference. However,
they're not done yet.
Correct.
Brett McMurphy also reports the league will target Northern Illinois and Toledo as football-only members. They are members of the Mid-American Conference.
That is not a surprise because there's been reports that they had talked to or even invited, I thought, both Northern Illinois and Toledo.
Yeah, I don't know if they got to invites, but I know they certainly had chatted.
But they had chatted. That even at football only, that makes no sense to me.
Nope.
And I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I mean, I'm not doubting McMurphy's reporting. But I don't know what advantage that is to Northern Illinois and Toledo.
So
is it more money?
I can't. They think it will be than what they're getting in the MAC right now.
Right. Okay.
Because then the Mountain West can say we're in every time zone. We're in the Eastern time. We'd have all time zones.
And it's all about
then.
TV.
Right.
And
We'd have the Eastern time zone. We have Central,
Toledo,
Mountain, Pacific, and Hawaii. We'd have 5 time zones.
Right. So but if you're Toledo and Northern Illinois, to me that doesn't make, because then also the sidebar of that is all their other sports would have to find another league because the MAC is going to say,
get the heck out.
Yep, the door's that way. See you later. Because it's not. Here we go. It's not the same as North Dakota State where all your other sports are in a different conference, the Summit League.
Yep. That would be the dream scenario. That would be.
And I know that there's a wall that's been put up to stop FCS teams from moving from FCS to FBS.
And it's a figurative wall. It's not a literal one.
Well,
but I guess
the $5 million was a literal wall.
Yeah, that's true.
But as they found out, I don't think that's going to stop. It would not stop North Dakota State.
Nope.
It would take.
I don't think it would stop South Dakota State.
It would take North Dakota State 6.4 seconds to raise $5 million to go to the Mountain West. Yes. However, Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC,
the ruler of college football,
and others, I have been told, as you have too, that's the wall that North Dakota State is facing right now. That multiple people have indicated to me that NDSU has been a little bit more forward in letting their plans be known to
the people that need to know.
The people that need to know, and that's the phrase we've heard before. Yeah. But I've been told by multiple people that's ramped up a little bit, just letting people know, hey, woo, look over here. I don't think it's going to make any difference because it's an FCS school wanting to move to FBS, and the FBS doesn't want to dilute the product any further. Thanks, Kennesaw. Thanks, Missouri State.
Delaware.
Thanks, Delaware. Thanks, Sam Houston.
Jack State.
Yep. So they don't want any more of those schools in FBS, both from an appearance standpoint and a money standpoint, because they don't want to split the pie one more way.
Nope.
Alabama doesn't want to split the gajillion dollar pie one more way.
No.
And not get the check,
Yeah.
The check will be for $13 less than it would have been.
It'll still be $50 million.
Yeah, it'll be $49,987 instead of that. But that's
the deal.
That's how I understand it to be right now.
Yeah. I will say we got to roll, but for the 1 week, this is where it's still fun. You wrote about this on Saturday in your column after the game. For this week, this is where FCS is still highly enjoyable for this particular week. And then next week, the Bison play Murray State.
Yep. So, I mean, what a contrast.
Right? I mean, we're going from A to Z, man.
I mean, and again, I'm going to keep harping on this till they plant me in the ground. Nice job, Missouri Valley Football Conference, voting in Murray State to the league with no resistance. Like, not like all these other leagues, they won't let North Dakota State in to any of these leagues. It's this huge process. Huge process. And Murray State just...
Well, we know there was one resistance here.
The
old president at North Dakota State, Dean Brashani, said no, but we don't know anybody else.
And just took a ton of crap for it. And I took a ton of crap for saying that it was the right thing to do because the UNDs and USDs and Southern Illinois,
Indiana States
they wanted to win.
Western Illinois did, and they didn't even play them. They left the league.
So it just whatever.
Thanks for coming by, bud.
You bet.
Look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Should be fun.
It will be fun.
Mike McFeely joining us each and every Tuesday. We'll break. We come back. We'll start our second hour as we get ready for the 9-man playoffs in North Dakota high school football. We'll preview that when hour 2 begins right after this.